We're live. So whenever you want to start.
Hi guys, so I just finished watching Hunter x Hunter, the 2011 to 2014 anime, and I have Kyler Specs with me, wherever he is, and we're going to break down our thoughts and opinions expertly, and hopefully turn it into a fun conversation that you can join in on and, make it a little less nonsense. But yeah, so I hope you enjoy and we'll just get right into it. I will say that we won't be talking about the manga or the previous anime. This is just in regards to this anime. And we'll do our best for spoilers, but there might be some. We're not going to get into like the nitty gritty of, you know, plot lines and what actually happens, just our opinions. Am I saying that right, Kyle?
Yeah, well, it's obviously we're gonna get into the plot lines because we're gonna go through kind of arc by arc and just give our thoughts on it, but it's not gonna be a full breakdown. So, if we don't
Yeah,
talk
there
about it
might
or
be
don't mention
little
it,
spoilers, but
yeah.
nothing major.
But I will avoid anything from the manga that goes past where the anime ends. So like everything with the Dark Continent and the Succession contest and all that, we're not going to discuss. So if you've seen the anime and you haven't read any of the manga, you don't have to worry about that. And if you haven't seen the anime, you shouldn't be watching this video. You should be watching the anime series, and then come back and watch and hear our thoughts. And yeah, it's just breaking down what we liked, what we didn't like, cool moments from each arc.
And for our, just because, for our minors that might be watching, we have no filters. So belong or watch at your own risk, I guess. Um, but Kyler, do you want to start off or?
Okay, well, I guess start from the beginning for the Hunter exam arc. It's not my favorite. It's a good arc. Again, it's like every series. It's just setting up the world, the series, the kind of lore. So there's nothing really too crazy about it, or nothing too bad. It's just a setup. I do like the introduction to the world for the hunters and all the magic and everything, and obviously going through each of the phases of the hunter exam. So yeah, again, it's I'd give it probably what 6.5, 7 out of 10. Like, it's a good arc. It's mostly just set up.
It's entertaining for
Oh
sure.
yeah,
It's very what's the word? Like, it's not intense. It's just like a good smooth watch. And again, you're setting it up. Um I was gonna say about the a meme I saw that they were like, "Oh, you think Hunter x Hunter's for kids until you reach the Chimera Ant arc, which I know we'll get to." And I thought, wow, that's actually kind of true. But then, we actually spoke, and you were like, "Oh, well, Killua does like literally rip someone's heart out in the Hunter exam." Like, there's some red flags there that people shouldn't, necessarily just be like, "Oh, this looks wholesome. Let's
well,
have our children watch this."
like, it is wholesome, and but it's definitely, I wouldn't classify it as just a, like, it's not just a regular battle shonen or kids anime or show,
Yeah.
because it's from very early on. There are a lot of dark undertones that kind of permeate throughout the series that you don't really kind of think about until you actually like think
Reflect
about it,
back.
yeah, or reflect on it. Like, again, Killua ripping some guy's heart out, and them going up against convicted murderers, and how apparently the association pits these kids against people who have multiple life sentences. Like that in itself is pretty dark. And then the whole theme with a broken family, abandonment, how Godin's dad left
Yeah.
him just because he liked his job better and didn't want to be a dad. Like that's dark stuff to begin with, but
Gon doesn't care. He's
yeah,
just like, wow, it must be so cool to be a hunter then.
that's because
Like,
Gon's a little bit special. Again, we'll get
he's
into character breakdowns later. I do like Gon. I really do like Gon. I think he's an amazing protagonist. I do have some criticisms, I guess, that just they're not bad. It's just they annoy me or just bother me, or I don't know. We'll talk about that. But yeah, again, there's a lot of dark undertones, and especially even the second arc is all about mental
child
and
abuse,
physical child abuse. And
which the second arc is about the Zoldyck family and Killua's past, pretty much.
yes,
So, yeah, you don't think about that when you're watching it. You're like, oh yeah, a group of assassins that have just chained their child up and are beating them. That's cool. And then, like, you think about doing something like this, or you're talking with a friend and you're like, wait a second. What
like
is
it's
going on here?
like you don't think of it in terms of child abuse. It's just family assassins. It's just kind of normal for that to happen, and like it obviously it makes you like care about Killua, but it's you're not like, oh shit, like they're literally he is being physically abused, and just like the trauma and everything that they have to go through. We don't think of it in the actual humane or real world aspects of what happens to people mentally when they go through scenarios like that. It's just kind of a plot device that helps you care about the characters, and that's just part of why we love him, because of what happened to him and what he had to overcome. But thinking of it in just terms like that, it's like, it's
Well, I think that one of the reasons why we don't see it like that initially also is notoriously in the animes, these kids are kids doing adult things. So, like, in Hunter x Hunter, how old is Killua and Gon? They say they're like 13, 12,
I thought
13, I
I thought he
think.
was 10. I'm pretty sure because he's allowed to take the hunter exam when he's 10, I believe.
I think they're more like 12. Fact check. That would be Kyler's, wherever he is.
I think 11, maybe.
Well,
Yeah, he's around 12 years old.
I was right. 10 points.
Anywhere between 12 and 14 when
Well, they say how old they are. In the Hunter exam, when Kilo's on the skateboard and they're running in the first phase, and they're like, oh my god, you're my age. I've never met someone my age before. They literally say it.
but I don't remember what the age was.
We'll insert the clip and tell you how old they are. But anyway, they're, you know, preteen doing these adult activities, and it's like just normal for them to be doing these things. And I think that because that's notorious across all animes, when we see these, child abuse or inappropriate relationships between characters in
Hisoka.
in these animes, sometimes, it doesn't hit you the same way because they set it up like that. But I don't know. I like the Zoldyck family arc a lot. Probably because I like Killua as a character. And I think I personally like the fact that he wants to go against his family and what they, not essentially what they do. I don't think that he really cares if he kills someone or not, as long as he has reasons for it. But, like, I don't think he has a problem with necessarily being an assassin, but just the overall, like, he had no friends. Like, he really didn't feel like he had a family. And going against that, for me, like, I just really liked that part of learning all of that. And then I love Canary, the butler, how she cares for them, or cares for Killua, and how all the butlers, like, I feel like Killua is all the butlers' favorites, to be honest. Which I think you get more of a taste of later on, but they hint at it in this arc as well. I really think that Killua is, like, the butler's favorites, for
Yeah,
sure.
I think he's the most human.
Personable.
Out of everyone in his family, he's the most, I guess, normal. Out of, like, by any stretch of the meaning, he's not normal at all. But compared to his family, he is very almost normal and personable, and, like, he has more humanity in him. And
Yeah.
again, he straddles the chasm of, being an assassin and still being kind of just a regular kid. So he hasn't lost that innocence in a way, and living in, their world of being an assassins and everything. It's most people, they can't relate or even understand those kind of people. So as, like, normal people, looking at the Zoldicks, it's just like how they live and everything, and, like, they just can't comprehend it themselves, and they just don't understand it, and it's just so far outside of how they live their lives that there's no kind of like connection to it. Whereas Killua is a lot more, again, personable. He's laid back, he's friendly, and he acts like, a normal person would, and he treats them like a normal person. And so I guess it probably just has, they get more attached to him because he shows more humanity, and he's a little more relatable than the monsters that make up his family. Not saying that, like, his family, they do show kind of, they have their own code that they live by and stuff like that, but again, it's people on the outside don't know this or don't have the chance to, like, get to know how they actually tick. To them, they're just crazy strong assassins, whereas Killua is like a kid almost.
Yeah, but they have their code, but you also get a feeling that that code is absolute in the sense of, at least I get this feeling. I know that they do talk about the code later on, and I might be a little bit wrong. Not sure I remember the code correctly, but even say the hit was one of their own, like, I think that they would just battle it out. And if they came to a standstill, they came at a standstill. But they would still try to assassinate the other person with legitimate force.
Not for family. Family, it's I forgot what the term they use, but it's like inner family challenge or something like that. It's you can challenge or have a contest against other members of the family, and you can use whatever means to win, except it's forbidden to kill. You cannot kill the other family member. So I think that's the only restriction that they have.
Illumi just doesn't care about that rule then?
Pretty much. Well, I mean,
Okay.
when he brought in Hisoka, and like Hisoka made the joke, like, "Oh, so since we're doing this, is it okay if I kill Killua?" And then Illumi has that fucking epic thing where he's on top of the cliff and he goes all dark and the ravens pop up and he gets like pissed as shit. He's like, "Don't you ever threaten him." So there is a.
But I felt like that was more because Illumi wanted to do it himself.
No, I think it's more of trash talk, I believe. Like, I think if it came down to it, like if he had no other choice, so if he was kind of pushed to it, like he would kill him.
I think he'd use him as a pet before he would.
Yeah, but it's Illumina's just so much stronger than Killua that he could subdue him and not kill him. Yeah. So it's like it would have to be to the point where he would have to lash out in order to save his own life, and I think that's the only reason why he would end up killing them is if he had to, so he wouldn't die. But and I know mostly it was. He wanted to take control of Alika and all that. And again, we're jumping around like crazy. But, yes.
Yeah, I know. But I just think that I guess the point is that the not family demographic, what's that word?
Dynamic?
Family dynamic, there you go. The family dynamic is just fucked up.
Oh, like, yeah.
It's just fucked. Like, but, if Killua didn't experience those things, then his character couldn't have progressed the way that it did, which we'll get into later. But, now to talk a little bit, since we're talking about Killua and like he is powerful in his own right from the get-go because of all the training he's had since he was born. When we go to Heaven's Arena, one of my favorite parts is when Gon's like, "Oh, like I really want to punch Hisoka in his face," and then he's drawing the lines in the sand like, "Here is you and here is Hisoka," and then he's like, "Well, where are you, Killua?" And Killua's like, "This is where I am and I'm being modest." And he's like miles above where Gon is just from the start, because he's already completed Heaven's Arena at like age 7 or 6 or something like that. So,
I think he got to the 200th floor. Where he got he got to the 200th floor, but he didn't actually compete there. He just got admittance to it. He didn't become a
floor master. He just made it to be able to fight for that.
Which that's one thing that bugs me is the fact that Killua apparently had no idea what the fuck Nen was.
Yeah, how did he get there?
Well, again, like he never competed in the 200th floor. It's his assignment was to get to it. So as soon as he got to it, he just bailed. But
yeah,
he especially in the Chimera Ant arc, he recognizes his grandpa's dragon ability. Like when him and Netero come in on the dragons and everything, like he's like, oh, this is one of Grandpa's abilities, or blah blah blah. Like he literally says, oh, I know what this is. But from the start, he's been with Gon the whole time, and how would he know about the ability that he can do this, but still have no idea what Nen is? Like, how would he? Like, why wouldn't they tell, or Killua like, hey, how do you do that? Or why wouldn't they try to train? Because if they're training to be assassin, obviously unlocking Nen would be something beneficial for him, right? So I feel like it wouldn't be a secret that they're keeping from him.
Yeah.
In their training.
But also, in regards to his grandpa, couldn't that just have been because he does know Nen now? He like felt a similarity and
he knew the name.
True. He did.
And it's again like I understand it's just because Togashi probably didn't
know who it was.
Like well, that, and it's just he probably didn't have like maybe the full explanation or like the Nen abilities, how it works and everything completely written out when he started this series, and eventually it was just kind of added in. And but I don't know, it's just I find it funny that Gon or Killua had no idea what Nen was, yet knew that his family possessed these abilities, but he didn't ask about it, or no one said anything about it. Like, it's just weird, and it's just, it doesn't make sense that they would keep that from him, or that he wouldn't know what Nen is. I understand it's like for the progression, for them getting stronger and everything, but I just feel like it would have made more sense if like he knew what Nen was, but was forbidden to practice it until he became stronger or older, and maybe that's why he didn't say anything. But when they got to like the 200th floor, you could be like, oh, this is what they warned me about for the Nen. Like, I don't know, it's just I feel like Killua, he shouldn't have been completely ignorant like Gon was.
Yeah, but then if he wasn't completely ignorant, the thing that happens at the end of the Hunter exam that leads us to the Zoldyck family arc, I don't think would have been as impactful, because he just didn't understand why he felt that way, and what that presence was. I don't know that it would have been as impactful.
Well, it would have been.
He could have countered.
Well, no, because he still doesn't know how to defend against it. Like, he knows it exists, but he doesn't know how to defend it. And just because, like, it'd still be impactful, because, again, like, he doesn't have to say, oh, this is Nen. Or it's just, like, again, it's just a power that Illumi has that he has no defense against. And, again, like, he doesn't have to bring it up that he knows what it is or anything. Because it's, there's not really an internal monologue, I believe, because it's through kind of a flashback.
True.
After
it's the examiner telling Gon what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So that's true.
I do want to backtrack. Another thing, going back towards the first arc, the Hunter exam, with Kurapika. Kurapika. Kurapika.
Krapica.
How do you say Kurapika? Kurapika.
Krapica.
Kurapika.
It's not Krapica.
It's Kurapika. Kurapika. Again, how do you feel about when it was during the kind of tournament when they're facing off against the prisoners, right? And the zombie guy, he pretended to be part of the spiders.
Yeah.
And like Kurapika kind of goes ape shit and like grabs him by the face and like beats the fuck out of him. How do you feel about him just saying, "Nah, I'm not gonna do anything else"? Like just flat out refusing to fight and putting like literally his entire ambition of getting revenge in jeopardy because he doesn't want to fight anymore. Like I understand the whole like emotional aspect of it, of like him like pretending to be a spider and how it affected him and everything, but like for me that doesn't make sense that he wouldn't, because again, like you don't have to kill him, like you didn't have to like kill him or anything, but you could just again beat the fuck out.
You could have just bitch slapped him.
Yeah, like you could have done something. And again, the whole reason why he joined the hunter exam was so he can get the license, so he can get revenge. And it was like he made the comment before where like he was happy his rage was that close because that means he still cared or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, he's happy, he still feels all this rage, yet then he just gives up and he's like, I'll lose, you know, if we ended up losing the hunter exam because, you know, I don't feel like fighting anymore. Like, what? Like, for me, that doesn't make sense. It bothers me. Yeah.
But more so, well, okay, maybe not more so. So he should have completed no matter what based on his revenge plan and everything, and how needing a hunter, what is it called?
License?
ID. There you go, license. Having a hunter license was, like, crucial to that plan. He should have followed through with it. But also, like, if you are that angry at the spiders that you have plotted this intense revenge plan, someone pretending to be one of them should ignite rage. And then finding out that they're actually not, I feel like he would be mad that it was a waste of his time and he would have just bitch slapped him and got him out of the way and been done. Instead of going and whining and sitting and crying like a bitch. So, like, I didn't really like that. But at the same time, I feel more so the reason why they did that was just to transition into Leorio's fight with the prisoner chick, because they start that out by finishing out Kurapika's fight.
Yeah, but again, like in the grand scheme of things, though, like it cost what? Like it was like 10, or it wasn't that. You didn't bet that much with it, so it was just like it wasn't needed. I think
it was literally just plot or scene transition.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just for me, it
doesn't fit the character that's to come.
Yeah, and especially because like unless it comes down to the safety of his friends, and even then that's somewhat iffy. I don't know, I just feel like he gave up way too easy, and like I understand he is extremely like honorable, but it's just it doesn't make sense because he could have still like fought him or done something or get him to get the zombie guy to forfeit or move the match along without resorting to violence or doing anything. It's at that point he should have just forfeited.
Yeah.
Like, that's another thing. Why didn't he do that? If he just refused to, because imagine if Leorio didn't, like, they didn't let Leorio start the next match or whatever, and it was just they would just wait there. So then he was perfectly fine with just letting the clock run out and just not passing the hunter exam because he didn't feel like it. I don't know. It was one of those things that was just like, really? And it was good for the story.
And it doesn't fit with the character to come.
Yeah. And it's more of a retrospect. Like, at the time, it's like, oh, it kind of talks about how he is as a person, but who he is as a person is directly opposed his purpose in life. Like, his honor and integrity and like just the goodness of who he is as a person literally directly opposes his need for revenge and his like life ambition, and what the path that he sets out on is directly contradicts that. So it's weird that it's that quick into kind of introducing the character. It shows him give up on that for a very small reason or inconsequential reason, whereas later in York New, he goes a lot further than he did in the arc, and he does a lot worse.
The lives of his comrades as well.
Yeah, and he does a lot worse things compared to not fighting someone that's not able to defend themselves, as he put it. But even then,
I always found the transition of Kurapika's anger from the hunter exam, like, his intention, what his plan is, but he's more like, this is my plan and I'm just gonna do it, and like, that's just the way it is, and it's cool, whatever happens happens. He's very chill about it. And then when we meet up again in York New City, it's like, I am encompassed.
It's like double down. There's a definite jump in his commitment from the first arc to when we meet him again. And
I don't know if that's just because he knows that he's gonna come face to face with the spiders or whatever, but part of me did think, did something happen, like, in the time between the hunter exam when we left them to now? Even though we had a flashback of what they were doing, there was a huge jump in his persona in regards to his revenge from then, which it could just be chalked up to he actually knew the fight was coming now.
And also, I guess, like, it's the whole like, he was more committed, because it's kind of like when you start doing something, it's the deeper you get into it, it's the more commitment, and the more you're like, I've done too much to just back out now, kind of thing. Like, he's like, I dug too deep, like, I can't back out now because that means everything I did up to this point was useless. So I understand that, but it's just the intensity, like, it wrapped up considerably, and it just seems a little inconsistent. And especially because even when just talking about it or seeing a spider at the beginning, like, he freaks the fuck out. And so it's still everything else in his character still fits and plays along with later on in the series and how he acts. except for that one decision he decides to make in. And I don't know, it's just like, it's not bad. I liked it, and again, it was more of a gag of, and it did kind of either highlight or spotlight Leorio and kind of just his quick thinking of using that loss as a way to try to gain from it by betting or setting up the bet to where they can, that way they can still get the win and you can get points and everything. But even that didn't work out because she's changed her bet. So yeah, they got the win, but he still lost points for it, and they lost like 10 hours or something for it. So it was just,
I would never categorize Leorio as smart.
well, he wants to be a doctor. I mean, like, he's studying for, so there is some form of like intelligence.
He's, I guess, book smart.
Yeah, but it's just,
But
yeah. I feel like he does kind of get shafted. He's like the kind of the fodder member of the group that just kind of gets shitted on repeatedly. Or he's just kind of there for comic relief or whatever. But also, it's like, he's not really part of the show until the end either, because again, his whole focus was money, to be a doctor. So he didn't want to be a hunter. He didn't have that drive for like battling or whatever. So like, I understand it, but it's just it's like they kind of sacrificed or development or contradicted one character to emphasize and shit on a different one.
Yeah, Leorio does get his shit on quite a bit.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole thing.
And like, even later on in the hunter exam, Netero said that Leorio was stronger than Botaro, the guy that he was fighting when that Killua.
Oh, when they do the one-on-one fight?
Yeah, when the guy that Killua killed.
Mm-hmm.
That got him that made him fail the hunter exam. Netero said that Botaro, he had...
Give away a spoiler I was trying not to say.
No. Oh well. But Netero said Botaro had more experience, but Leorio was the stronger fighter. And Botaro was a martial artist. So it's obviously Leorio, he had some skills that even Netero was like, oh,
but we never saw them.
But we just never saw them. But it does give credence that, the fact if Netero vouches for the strength of someone, it's, you treat that as, canon, right? It's, you treat, obviously Netero knows how to kind of appraise people and gauge their skills. So if he was confident in thinking that Netero, or that Leorio could defeat Botaro, which he's like a trained black belt martial artist, you would think that like he'd be more badass, I guess, and not as stupid, or just.
I don't remember Netero saying that, but
yeah, it's when they were defending. I think it's like when after Gon comes in, after he wakes up, and they're trying to defend, saying that he was worried, not like worried about Leorio, but like they're just trying to justify what he did. Like they're talking about like the brainwashing and blah blah blah, and how, and Leorio's like, he was trying to help me, so he interfered with my match. So it's Leorio's like, disqualify me then, because he stepped in to help me, so I shouldn't pass. So you should fail me, and he should pass. But Netero pointed out, he's like, he wouldn't need to step in to help you, because though he had more battle experience, you were the stronger fighter. So I don't know.
I remember him talking about him stepping in to help his fight, but I don't remember Netero saying that.
Yeah.
That's okay. But, yeah.
But I don't. Those are kind of the standout moments for at least the Hunter exam arc.
And Heaven's Arena.
Uh,
Or are we still doing? We kind of jumped on.
yeah. Well, I guess. Let's see. Anything about the second arc, the Zoldyck family? Mini arc, sub arc, side story.
Yeah, we kind of went.
Yeah. I mean, it was very short, and it was just nothing.
I think it
Awesome.
establishes their friendship more.
Yeah, it just.
If anything, it's a character development and establishes Gon and Killa's friendship more.
Yeah, so there's nothing
Um,
really to talk about there, like, or any flaws or like standout moments, I guess. Just the fact Gon fucking heals quick as hell. I mean, I guess he is an enhancer, so that would still
yeah,
help. Though see, like, I don't know, cuz his aura nodes aren't open yet. So I don't know if that like would affect his natural enhancement skills for his body, or
he's just that awesome.
yeah, but he healed his broken arm very quickly. um oh yeah, but that was a good arc. I really like that. It helps you kind of just learn more about the characters, their loyalty for each other, their friendship. It endears Killua to you a little more. And yeah, it's an. I feel like it's still more of a kind of a setup arc too. Like it's still setting up kind of the world and the characters and everything. So I feel like
Yeah,
the first kind of major arc would be Heaven's Arena.
true. I agree with that. Um, I think that Heaven's Arena is more important. I know that both Kila and Gon learn a lot in regards to Nen, but I feel like Heaven's Arena is where Gon starts to realize what the real world is more. Because he's only been on Whale Island, and he's very much where he sees the good in people and doesn't necessarily see people's underlying bad intentions. Um, and I think that arc was more useful to Gon than to Killua,
Yeah,
for sure.
and I think it gives it. It also it gave a more it gave more depth to his character, for just who he is as a person. Because up until then, again, he's just this kind of innocent, happy-go-lucky kid that's a little quirky in his worldviews. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
he was abandoned by his father, and he, the route or the decision he made was, he's not going to hate his father for abandoning him, or you know, think less of himself as a person, or blame himself. Maybe I'm the reason why he left, because maybe I'm not good enough, or hate his father for leaving him. It's just he goes straight towards, wow, being a hunter must be so awesome that it would make literally anybody want to be a hunter over a father. And I want to
Yeah.
know why being a hunter is so awesome, which is
Mm-hmm.
fucking weird. Like, that is a weird kind of mental lane to zone in on. That's the conclusion he came to was, I want to know why this job is so awesome that it would make my father want to leave me. Which, again, it's kind of weird, but going into the Heavens Arena, you get a little more kind of understanding of who he is as a person, just how he thinks, and just he's very, very competitive, and like he likes.
He's he has his opinion that he forms right in 1 second, and he really doesn't change it after that. I don't want to say he doesn't do it ever, because I think there's a few times where Killua has gotten him to sway another direction, but he forms his opinion, and it's not the one that you think he's gonna do. It's like off the rocker a little bit, and he sticks with it.
Yeah, it's more of like, it's regardless of who the person is or what they kind of done in the past. He treats them like they're a good person, and he tries to befriend them, even if he knows they were, a convicted murderer or a felon or a criminal or whatever. He treats everyone like they're going to be his friend until they do something shady around him. Like until they do something bad to where like he sees it, like they treat another person like shit in front of him, or try to harm him or his friends or someone else. Like he could even just like see if they start beating up a random person, he would jump in to help. So like it's, if he sees the injustice, then he gets mad. But if it's something they've done in the past where like their victims or whatever isn't there, he doesn't care.
Right.
And it's very kind of out of sight, out of mind, kind of sociopathic of, I don't really care what you've done, but you're interesting and I like you and I want to know more about what you do and why you do it. And like he doesn't care if they were a murderer. Like Killua is, I'd say, a mass murderer, serial killer, whatever. He's killed a shitload of people. And like they even state in later in Greed Island that he's killed more people than the bombers have. And the bombers killed a lot of people. Like a lot, at least, 50 to 100 people throughout the course of that arc. And it's like, yeah, I've killed more people than him. Like, and he says it so not, and like, again, Go doesn't bat an eye, but it's also because he knows Killua. But if any random people, like even that one serial killer with the scissors and shit, like he didn't want to kill him, and he like viewed him as like a training source to get stronger and everything. But even at the end of it, he still bowed to him and he's like, thank you so much, for helping me get stronger. Like I feel like if he would have stuck around, Gon would have befriended him.
True.
And it's just, he's a very interesting personality, whereas as long as you didn't do anything bad in front of him that he knows about or finds out about, he doesn't care what you did or who you are as a person, as long as you're interesting and he can learn from you. He'll kind of befriend and talk to anyone. And
you don't even really see him get mad. Like, you see him get protective. I'm not talking about later on. I'm talking about up until when we're talking about
like
that.
There'll be time. Oh, go ahead.
He'll get protective and put someone in their place in a I'm protecting my friend kind of way.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get
he doesn't lose his
cool. Mad.
Yeah.
No.
Like when Killua fights Zushi, um, he kind of loses his cool and like he chops the fuck out of him, and he thought that he
Mhm.
killed him, and he's like, oh shit, because like he lost his cool and he kind of lashed out, like he has that kind of control issues. There, whereas Gon, he gets mad like when the the disabled or handicapped Nen users on the 200th floor, like when they go after Zushi, like he says, like I'm pissed that they did this. Like so, he does
Yeah.
kind of get mad or protective over him, but he doesn't. Like he always still kind of remains calm until later.
Not like Killua, who goes and like, I will kill you.
Yeah,
Back
and
off.
yeah, and so it's Gon, like he does get, I guess, angry or something, but it still never affects him until he loses his shit in Chimera Ant arc, which I
That's
have
a
words
whole
about that.
different
Yeah.
issue I have very strong opinions on.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that when we get there. But yeah, so it goes to it the Heavens Arena definitely broadens his personality and like gives him more depth, and just the fact that he's willing to sacrifice himself for just curiosity and like gaining experience, like how he used Zetsu to fight the top guy with the spinning tops, just for training, just to see if he could do it, and like he was willing to kill himself just for that. So he's very selfish, or has, I want to say like a low opinion of himself, but he's willing to sacrifice and get himself murdered.
Say he has a low opinion of himself. I think
Or he doesn't
he
prioritize his life that much.
I don't think that that's the right thing. I feel like it's more he has no self-control.
Yeah. So he's more like
That
Luffy.
he has, but in a more almost intellectual way, in the sense of, I want to learn this, and I'm gonna dive so deep into learning it that if it destroys part of me, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like,
it's almost spiteful.
yeah, and he has to, like, he has no self-control to reel it back or find a different way to learn it in a safer way. He's like, this is in front of me. This is the best way I think that I can learn it, and let's see what happens. This is gonna be fun.
I mean, consequences be damned.
Yeah, almost like Jackass. Let's see what happens when we do this.
But yeah, like, so I guess, yeah. So I think he's very much like Luffy, where he has his goals, and he's like, if I die doing it, then I die. He's perfectly fine with. He's kind of the embodiment of curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah.
Like he just accepts that, and he's fine with that, and very selfish in that, where he doesn't care like who it affects or like anything, and that's why Killua gets so mad, and why like Gon kind of becomes dependent on him, because he keeps Gon in check to make sure he doesn't do anything too stupid to put them more at risk, or himself at risk. And he flat out says, he's like, I'm the one doing dumb shit. You're supposed to be there to keep me in check. But
yeah, it's almost like they have the same end goal, but and they both try to do almost the same thing to get there. They have just different tactics on how they get there, and usually Killua's is safer.
Well, Killua, it's his opinion. Like he doesn't want to die. Obviously, like he values his life, and he's gonna do everything he can to achieve whatever goal he has, as long as he lives. So if he can,
but you have to remember that, and this kind of bothers me, but I'm only bringing it up even though it comes up later, because you said what you just said about Killua valuing his life. Illumi put that needle in Killua's head, which had him thinking, if you're up against an opponent that you can't win against, you walk away instead of fighting. Remember how they had that?
Yeah.
So that, I'm only bringing it up now. I was going to bring it up later, but only because you said that, because I felt like that coming up so late in the story later changed my opinion on Killua's personality.
Like,
technically, Illumi was manipulating Killua from the end of the Hunter exam up until halfway, 3/4 of the way through the Chimera and arc.
Well, to a point. Because again, yes, he did have the microchip, but you have
it wasn't a microchip; it was a needle.
Whatever. The wire thing, transmitter
needle
in his head. Yes, he was manipulating him through that, but it's, you can't discount the I guess the
instinct.
Not, and just what he was taught from a young age too. He was,
and I'm not saying,
yeah. So it was constantly drilled into his head that, you know, you need to do this. So it's gonna become a natural part of who he is as a person, and it's when, because you can it started, I think, foreshadowing the needle a little bit, but it was only when his life was at extreme risk. So when it became like he is almost about to die, or he realizes, like, I could die here very easily if there's one thing goes wrong. You'll notice there'll be a kind of switch on how he acts, and he'll act a little more sporadic, or either like hesitant or scared or whatever. But up until then, it's like he's still making all his choices and using his own caution, but it's just when something so overwhelming threatens his life, I feel like that's when the needle actually kind of alters his personality or how he acts, and forces him to act more cautious or more scared to prevent him from dying. Though he does have that natural nurturing, like, upbringing of always increase your odds of survival. Everything you do is based on survival, because, even if you win, it doesn't matter if you die. So it's,
yeah, I guess my point though only was that I don't think that, and this might just be my opinion over yours, but I don't think, after knowing the needle thing, and like in retrospect looking over the whole series, I don't think that Killua has more regard for his life than Gon, I think Killua is more stuck up than Gon, where he would not risk his life on something that he thought was beneath him, or someone he thought was not worth his time, whether they were stronger than him or not. You know, I don't think it's a difference of whether he would or wouldn't risk his life. I don't think he cares in that regard. I think it's a matter of, you are not worth my time. So,
Well, I feel like other than, Gon and Kurapika, like other than his close friends, he wouldn't sacrifice himself for like strangers or whatever. And like he would do what he can to like kind of protect them and everything, but he wouldn't give his life. Like he wouldn't go into something saying, I know I'm gonna die if I do this, but it's Gon, so fuck it. He wouldn't do that for anyone else other than, like Alika or
I think it depends on circumstances, but I understand what you mean.
like just by himself. If he was by himself and like a situation happened, if he did this, he would die. I feel he wouldn't do it. Now, if Gon was there, and of course Gon would be like, "Oh, I'll do it," he'd be like, "Fuck, now I have to," because he's going in for Gon, not for the random person. He's going in to try and protect him. So I don't think that, Gon has little regard for his life or that he doesn't want to live. Obviously, he does want to live. And Killua, he's more willing to throw his life away for whatever he like believes at that moment or whatever he commits to.
He has less regard for the consequences.
Yes. And he's willing to put his life in danger or on the line and die for infinitely more reasons than what Killua would do.
It's not even less regard for consequences. It's not even thinking about the consequences. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's cool. I don't know what we're really doing, but it sounds like
fun,
and so I'm gonna do it. Like, yeah. I don't think that it's less regard for consequences. I think I was wrong with that phrase. I think it's just like no regard for consequences. It wasn't even a thought in the beginning that a consequence could occur. It's just, oh, this is what we're doing. We're jumping out of this plane with no parachute, and yeah, let's see if I can fly.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain points in the show where he does keep himself in check for the sake of others. But
for the sake of others.
Yeah,
but if Killua was there, he counts on Killua to save him.
Yeah. But it's very rarely that he thinks of others. Like, perfect example would be for Greed Island when he fights the bomber, Genthru. And he's just, like, they have the plan they're supposed to follow. And he's like, yeah, fuck it, I'm not doing that because I want to make him use his ability on me. Because he made fun of me and I'm spiteful as shit and I want to make him do it. And like he could have legit died, got killed, ruined the whole plan, and then caused Killua, well, Biscuit would just beat the fuck out of everybody, but he could have caused them to die as well.
Awesome.
And like he could have just literally killed everybody. And he's just like, I don't care. Like Lewis said, he's like, I don't care about the plan. I'm doing this because, this is what I feel like I need to do. And he knew the consequences. He regarded the consequences and he just didn't care because he wanted to prove or just out of spite make Genthru use his abilities on him, and he literally sacrificed both his hands in order to do that. Granted, he knew that he could probably be healed by Angel's Breath, but still, like, what if?
Did he know?
Well, because after they beat them all and everything, and they took all the cards, when the bombers are tied up and laid down, and he said, use.
I don't think he knew that he could be healed by it
Yeah,
yet.
they did.
He did that without.
No, because after they win, they're all tied up, they're laying down, and Genthru wakes up, and he said, use Angel's Breath on my friends, don't use it on me. And then Killua says that was always part of the plan. That was part of the plan. We were going to do that anyway. So they knew that can heal, but they didn't know the limits of it, like, because he legit lost an entire hand. So what if they couldn't regenerate full body parts? What if it just healed the edge of his stump and then his wrist, and like, so he was able, like, I'll save one hand, but he's still short one. So he didn't know, like, the full extent. Then it, like, I don't know if it says Angel's Breath, it heals, like, there's no limits. Yeah, there's no limits to what it could heal. So, like, literally, if you lose, like, get cut in half, and Angel's Breath, like, if you gain your full body back, like, so I don't know if there's any, like, limits on what Angel Breath can actually heal, or what, but it's, like, he did this banking on, oh, you know, I could probably heal myself, and even if I can't, you know, it's still worth it.
Yeah.
Whereas even, like, there, in no scenario would pretty much anyone else do that. Like, Killua might, like, push himself to, like, you know, I'm gonna try to make him use my abilities or prove whatever, but he wouldn't go that far to get his point across or prove something to himself.
Yeah. Well, I think that I'm gonna keep my comment that I want to make on that.
What?
For a little later.
Okay.
Because I don't want to jump. I want to spend more time on Greed Island, and what I want to say that kind of, like, has to do with them choosing who could make them mad enough to go so far.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I want to save my comment for,
okay, yeah, we can go on.
As it goes into the, but I do want to, this is my motion that you're gonna cut here. So I do have a comment that I want to bring up. It's just, it more ties into the Chimera Ant arc, and I just don't want to bring it up yet because then we're jumping around a little bit too much. We did just check, and we've been talking for over an hour now, and the whole goal was to keep these episodes or whatever to be an hour or under. So we are going to split this up and have a part 2. In the part 2, we'll talk more about Greed Island. I have more things on that. The Chimera Ant arc, and then the chairman election, which is the final arc of Hunter x Hunter. Also, if you have any of your own opinions or have any questions or anything like that, please put them in the comments below so that maybe if we have time in the next episode or even an additional one, who knows, we're still trying to navigate this, we can have a discussion in regards to the questions that you ask. And yeah, I thought this was pretty fun. It was fun having Kyler here as well. So hopefully you guys will enjoy, and we will catch you next time for more expert nonsense. Thank you for coming, Kyler.
Thank you for having me. I had fun.
I don't see why I have to tell you thank you for coming when you're literally downstairs.
Yeah, I didn't come anyway.
That was...
Okay, bye guys.